If I told you about small group instruction for your child in school, would this interest you? Hi, my name is Chad, and I am currently working to get into the education field. I currently work one-to-one with an elementary education student, and I feel it is necessary when working in education to explore all the different avenues. Recently, co-teaching has become a new type of method that is used inside of the classroom for learning. While there are some negatives, I certainly want to point out the positives so that you can have a better understanding of what exactly co-teaching is. While talking with some of the educators, it is definitely important to bring up co-teaching, but most importantly, to find out what works. I am very passionate about the learning of students, and once I'm finished with my speech, I want to give you the information that you need to make a fair assessment about what co-teaching is and if it can work for your child. While touching on co-teaching, I'm going to be talking about what exactly it is, the different strategies and methods used for co-teaching, and also the needs to be successful. Let's talk first about what co-teaching is. Okay, you have two teachers inside of the classroom. Sometimes they're general education teacher and a special education teacher. They both work collaboratively to provide the best possible lesson plan for a student. It is also important to have a goal between the teachers for the students as well. According to the Iowa Department of Education, 2004 was a turning point on how it would be used, and the amount of interest is endless. The different potentials when it comes to ratios between student and teacher, the numbers are incredible. The Iowa Department of Education also states that specialists have found students will benefit a lot more if they have a special education and a general education teacher inside of the classroom. Now that you know exactly what co-teaching or cooperative teaching is, I want to move on to the different strategies and techniques used inside of the classroom, and I found a great website called teachhub.com, and that has laid out a very nice chart for us to go through exactly what the different strategies are. The first two that I want to discuss are very comparable. One teach, one observe, and one teach, one drift. One teach, one observe is one teacher gives a lesson plan, the other teacher observes and tries to find out exactly what is learned throughout the classroom amongst the students. One teach, one drift. One teacher gives the instruction while the other teacher walks around and addresses any kind of classroom issues, any kind of questions that may go on throughout the lesson, so that the teacher providing the lesson doesn't have to get interrupted. The next two are also very comparable: parallel teach and alternate teaching. Oftentimes in parallel teaching, the difference between the two are parallel is broken down into two even groups, and they either review, they reteach, they just have great discussion. Alternate teaching is when it's also broken down into two groups. One group is a larger group, one group is a smaller group. Same type of thing. They get the lesson plan, and then they go from there with, inside of their groups, they either reteach, they review, or they discuss. The last two methods or strategies used are team teach and station teach. Team teach is exactly what it sounds like. Both teachers are providing a lesson plan, and they are working on it together. They will both they will interact and throw their own different spin and into the lesson plan at the same time. Station teaching is exactly what it sounds like. You set up different stations throughout the classroom, and the students go from station to station. The one example that I did find on station teaching I thought was pretty interesting. The last station that they went to actually had a reward. How exciting is that? Now that we've covered exactly what the definition is of co-teaching, we've covered the different strategies and methods of co-teaching, now we need to move on to what makes co-teaching successful and what is needed to make it successful. Like anything you do, success is huge when trying to accomplish a specific and certain goal. Teachers should get to know each other, have a bond, a chemistry. They need to find what works for them. The next way is to involve the administrators. This may seem a little bit intimidating at times to teachers to get the administrators involved in a new process, but it's very important when trying to determine long-term and short-term goals. And the final one is careful planning and working together. And that all goes hand in hand with the other two ways to make anything successful: planning. They need to get together on their lesson plan and also review it and see what works and what doesn't work for their classroom. So let's briefly go through the key points and summarize what all we've covered. While using methods of co-teaching, you can now see how your child could possibly benefit. Furthering education is something that can be used in many different ways, but as long as it's done with the proper purpose and the right planning, it can be very powerful. If you're ever offered an opportunity to weigh in on co-teaching, now you have everything that you need to make a fair assessment and form your own opinion about co-teaching. James Walsh released an article. It was called "Co-Teaching as a School System Strategy for Continuous Improvement." The data is remarkable. The school was researched was in Maryland, and over a 5-year time period, they saw an increase of over 10% of students with special education needs while using the co-teaching strategy. Those numbers define success. I am very excited to join the education field and further my education about teaching education to students. I think that a huge part of it is just being inspired on finding and seeing new ways to teach your students. Finally, as a father, there is nothing I wouldn't do to help my kids better their education and to have the best possible education that they can get. Whether that be co-teaching or another way, I am certainly open to whatever is going to work. Thank you.